What's up, everyone? Welcome to the FAA podcast. Having some issues with the PowerPoint, so see if we can figure that out. Just me today. So we'll go through pretty quickly on this stuff, but let's get into the news here. Starting off with breaking news, college football news. Fresno State head coach Jeff Tedford is stepping down for health-related reasons. So Fresno State going to be moving forward with an interim coach throughout the rest of the season. Can't remember what the other school that is doing that also was just within the last month or so. But yeah, now we have a couple schools moving forward this season with interim head coaches. On to NFL news. So, former Ravens Super Bowl star wide receiver Jacoby Jones, he passed away on Sunday at the age of 40. Shocking news. I mean, we've had two of these now within the last 2 weeks. Obviously, Jones, a former player and not a current player like Kyrie Jackson was, but still have not heard what actually happened with Jacoby Jones and what the cause was of his death. But all prayers with the Jones family and friends there. And it's just crazy, way too early in his life to be gone. But yeah, electrifying on the field as well. Obviously won the Super Bowl with the Ravens against the 49ers and had the longest playoff kick return and Super Bowl return in NFL history, as well as the Mile High Miracle catch that he had over the top of the Broncos defense from Joe Flacco in the AFC Championship game in Denver as well. As expected, today is franchise tag deadline day, and as expected, Bengals are not going to or did not sign wide receiver T. Higgins to an extension. He's going to play on the franchise tag this season. The only player that did not sign an extension and or get traded. But T. Higgins is going to be one of the top free agents in next year's class. Vikings wide receiver Jordan Addison, he was cited for a DUI. And just to get Jimmy's thoughts, Jimmy said he's pissed beyond belief with him. One more bullshit act like this, and I want his ass on the curb and off the Vikings. Yeah, it's surreal. It's very surreal. Your teammate just died from someone driving under the influence last week. How can you possibly face anyone in that organization right now after doing something that just killed one of your teammates? It is really crazy. And again, there is absolutely no excuse. You're an NFL player. I talked about when we were talking about Kyrie Jackson, I talked about, I understand some people do not have the means to afford an Uber, Lyft, whatever, but there are ways around that you can get help from other people. Jordan Addison, you're an NFL football player, man. I know you're a rookie, so you're not making as much as the high paid veterans like your teammate Justin Jefferson. But dude, you have plenty of money to afford a freaking $15, $20 Uber ride. So there is absolutely no excuse for Jordan Addison. And yeah, I mean, it's, like I said, surreal that you would do that after knowing one of your teammates died a week earlier from the same thing, essentially. On to brighter things. The Lions, they announced wide receiver Calvin Johnson. He will be inducted into the Pride of the Lions on September 30th during their Monday Night Football game against the Seattle Seahawks. So, of course, Megatron, very worthy of that induction there, and one of the best wide receivers of our generation, anyways. And the Commanders, they made an interesting hire today, hiring former Panthers GM Scott Fitter as a personnel executive, very successful with John Schneider and Pete Carroll in the Seattle organization, now comes into Washington trying to help Adam Peters reshape this roster and organization culture. We are almost ready for training camp, so that means that PUP and NFI lists are starting to get populated. Today, the Ravens placing 2 players on them. They placed running back Keaton Mitchell, coming off the torn ACL last year, on the PUP list, physically unable to perform. And on the non-football injury list, 3rd-round linebacker Adisa Isaac was placed on the NFI list. He has a minor hamstring injury. Both players can come off the list at any point during training camp. The non-football injury list, that is used a lot for rookies because they acquired the injury prior to being drafted or coming into the NFL building, their team building there. Or they were doing it during non-team workouts. All right, that is the news that I have today. So let's move on to our AFC West season preview here. We're going to start off with the defending back-to-back Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, 11-6 last year. Of course, Super Bowl champs, like I said. So losses-wise for KC, wide receiver Marquez Valdez-Scantling went to the Bills. Center Nick Allegretti to the Commanders. Linebacker Willie Gay Jr. to the Saints. Corner L'Jarius Sneed they traded to the Titans. Safety Mike Edwards went to the Bills as well. And punter Tommy Townsend went to the Texans. I don't think they're going to miss many of those guys. The Sneed trade I thought was very poor for Kansas City. I understand that Tennessee had to extend him after that, and that was why the price was a little bit lower. But I thought they could have got a first-round pick for him from someone, but not the case there. I'm interested to see if they're going to miss Willie Gay, though. I know he had kind of turned into a two-down guy, but hopefully he can resurrect his career in New Orleans this year. Additions-wise, again, not too many, mostly draft picks, but quarterback Carson Wentz they signed from the Rams to be the new backup for Mahomes. They signed wide receiver Marquise Brown from the Cardinals, drafted wide receiver Xavier Worthy in the first round, 28th overall, signed tight end Irv Smith Jr. from the Bengals, drafted tight end Jared Wiley, 4th round, 131st. Offensive tackle Kingsley Sua-Mataia, drafted him in the 2nd round, 63rd. And offensive lineman Hunter Norzad, drafted in the 5th round, 159th. So yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys that they drafted not going to have a major impact this season. They also had Jaden Hicks, who they drafted in the 4th round at safety, but there weren't a lot of spots open in this roster to begin with the free agent acquisition of Marquise Brown. The wide receiver position was really the most scrutinized, and I don't know if they did enough, but we'll see, especially with Rashee Rice more than likely being suspended. We still have not heard anything about that. But I think Xavier Worthy is going to be a good player for them. I just drafted him in one of my Dynasty League rookie drafts there. We'll recap those hopefully on Friday's show if my other one ends. We can recap both of those together. But Wiley and Sua-Mataia, I love those two guys. Wiley, I think, is going to be a great player in the future. he's listed as the third tight end right now. Irv Smith actually listed as the fourth tight end, so it'll be interesting to see if they keep 3 or 4. They have Noah Gray behind, of course, Travis Kelce. But I would like to see Jared Wiley potentially be the successor to Travis Kelce. I think that was what I said when they drafted him. I really like him for the future. And Sua Mataia, I'm telling you, this kid can win the job. We'll see what Wanye Morris has. Just a second-year player, third round in 2023, playing his first season at left tackle, though. So it'll be interesting to see if he can do the job out there. If not, Sua Mataia is there. And penalty machine Jawan Taylor at the right side, so that might be where KS needs to go anyways. All right, on to the record here. So Jimmy has the Chiefs going at 12-5. Let's see what I got for Kansas City this year. Week 1, they lost the opener last year, Thursday night football season kickoff game. They lost to the Lions last year. It'll be an interesting one. It's both teams that have some question marks at the wide receiver position, but I think it's going to be a defensive battle, and I think the Chiefs can win this one, so I'm going to give them a win on that one. Win in week 1. They get Cincinnati at home in week 2 as well. Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be a tough one as well, but I think Cincinnati's a little bit down. Joe Burrow's coming back, so it's in Kansas City. We're going to give them a win on that one. So 2 massive AFC wins there to begin the season. Then they win at Atlanta on Sunday night. They win at the Chargers week 4. They win at home against the Saints Monday night, week 5. Week 6 bye pretty early for them. At San Francisco, I think San Fran gets revenge in Santa Clara. So they are now 5-1 after the bye. And at Vegas, the Raiders won last year. So I don't know. I think the Raiders team's a little bit better. We'll see. But I think that's a sneaky one. I'm going to give the Raiders the win. So coming off the bye, 2 straight road losses there. 5-2, still looking probably good in the AFC standings. At home against the Bucks Monday night, I think they win that one 6-2. At home against the Broncos, that's a win 7-2. At the Bills, that is a win. I know it's starting to get a little bit cold there in Buffalo, early November, late October, but I think they can win that one still. It'd be early November a little bit. So, yeah, I think they can win that one. The Bills are a tough team to predict this year. So, they go to 8-2 on that one. They win in Carolina to go to 9-2. At home against the Raiders, that's a win on Black Friday, 10-2. At home against the Chargers, I think they sweep LA. I think they actually go 5-1 in the division. So, at home against the Chargers, that is a 11-2 on Sunday Night Football. At the Browns, I think the Browns win in Cleveland. The defense gives Mahomes some troubles. At Cleveland, that is a loss. So 11-3 there. At home against the Texans, Saturday game. I am going to give them a win. It will be revenge for Houston when Houston beats them in the playoffs. But I'm going to give them a win that gets them to 12-3. At the Steelers on Christmas Wednesday, I'm going to give them a loss, 12-4. And I'm going to go in Denver week 18. That's a win, 13-4 for me for Kansas City. There wasn't a lot of change in the roster this offseason, and they added some pieces at the wide receiver position. They weren't that great of a team last year offensively at times. They still have Patrick Mahomes. They still have Travis Kelce. And They still have Steve Spagnuolo coordinating the defense. So I think that is why I like them 13-4, possibly getting the number 1 seed once again. All right. Yeah, I'm 5-1 the division there. Lone loss in Vegas. Let's move on to those Vegas Raiders that finished second in the division last year, 8-9, had a good shot at the playoffs late. Once Antonio Pierce came to play, they won their first game with him, lost 3 in a row, and then won their last 2, or I believe, I think it was 1 or 2. But anyways, losses wise, quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo signed with the Rams. Running back Josh Jacobs went to the Packers. Wide receiver DeAndre Carter went to the Bears. Tight end Austin Hooper to the Patriots. Offensive tackle Brandon Parker to the 49ers. Offensive lineman Jermaine Illuminor to the Giants. Defensive tackle Bilal Nichols to the Cardinals. Defensive tackle Jerry Tillery to Jimmy's Vikings. And corner Amik Robertson went to the Lions. Again, just like the Chiefs, don't know if they're going to miss a ton of these guys. Illuminor might be the one that they do miss just because he's so versatile. He can play tackle or guard. So that one might be a little bit big. Jacobs had a poor season last year, so I don't think they're going to miss him. And they already brought in a veteran to help out Aiden O'Connell, so I don't think the Jimmy G thing's going to hurt too much. Additions wise, they had a ton of additions this offseason in Vegas. Quarterback Gardner Minshew, they got from the Colts. Running back Alexander Madison comes over from Jimmy's Vikings. Wide receiver Michael Gallup, they signed from the Cowboys. They got wide receiver Jalen Guyton from the Chargers. Tight end Harrison Bryant from the Browns. They drafted tight end Brock Bowers, first round, 13th overall. Offensive tackle DJ Glaze, they drafted in the 3rd round, 77th. They signed offensive lineman Cody Whitehair from the Bears, guard Andrews Pete from the Saints, drafted guard Jackson Powers Johnson in the 2nd round, 44th. Signed defensive tackle Christian Wilkins from the Dolphins, drafted linebacker Tommy Eichenberg in the 5th round, 148th. Drafted corner DeCamarion Richardson in the 4th round, 112th. Drafted corner MJ Devonshire in the 7th round, 229th. And drafted safety Trey Taylor in the 7th round, 223rd. So a lot of draft picks I think are going to play this season or help out at least. They have JPJ and Brock starting right now. It's crazy that Brock's starting over Michael Mayer, who they just drafted last year in the 2nd round. Anyways, 12 personnel, do it the whole season, AP. But I think this is a team that has a lot of question marks. Will the running backs work with Zamir White and Alexander Madison? Will the wide receiver position be an issue? Because they really didn't add a ton other than Michael Gallup, Jalen Guyton as well, but he's more of a depth guy, and they didn't draft one, which I thought was an issue. The quarterback, I'm just not sold on that position here. They have Gardner Minshew actually as a starter on our lads. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if he starts or not. But they did really like Aiden O'Connell last year. He played pretty well in some of the games. Physical limitations with him, not the biggest arm. Minshew doesn't really have the biggest arm either. So we'll see what goes on there. Defensively, I think they're going to be all right. AP knows that side of the ball as he played there, linebacker for years with the Giants. The secondary, especially at the corner position, I still think might be an issue. That's why I listed those 2 drafted guys that they had. Linebacker could also be still an issue. Robert Spillane, Divine Diablo. That's why I like my guy Tommy Eichenberg, even though he is a Buckeye. Up front's where they're going to win. They still need help opposite of Max Crosby. They're hoping that Tyree Wilson can take the next step as a first rounder from last year going into year 2. He did play well down the stretch, but they need more out of him. Malcolm Kuntz had a great year last year as a 3rd rounder from the 2021 draft. He looks like he has been panning out. And then they have a bunch of undrafted guys as well that they signed last year. But, yeah, there's a lot of hype for this Raiders team. I just don't see them going very far without the future and the elite quarterback. I also think they need a lot of help at the receiver position. I'm not a big fan of anyone outside of Devontae Adams. So, we'll see. But like I said, 12 personnel, they should be running almost every single play. That should be their base formation because Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer on the field at the same time gives you your best shot to win. And, of course, with 12 personnel, you got one running back, two tight ends. That means you only have to have two wide receivers on the field, which Devontae and Jacoby Myers, cool. That's all you need because they're your best two guys anyways. Schedule-wise, Jimmy's pretty low on the Raiders. He has them declining by a couple wins, 6-11 for him. Let's see what I got. At the Chargers, week 1. I think that's a loss. I think we'll see what I think about Coach Harbaugh, but I think the Chargers are good enough that they can win at SoFi, even though it's going to be the black hole just like it was last year when the Raiders fans travel into LA. At the Ravens, that is a loss. At home against the Panthers, they can win that one. At home against the Browns is a loss, so 1-3 start. At the Broncos, divisional game, but I think they get to Bo Nix early. So 2-3 win on that one. They lose at home against the Steelers. That is a 2-4. At the Rams, 2-5 for me. At home against the Chiefs, 2-6. At the Bengals, 2-7. Week 10 bye. I don't know if AP is going to be getting hot right now or not, but they do not have an easy schedule by any means. It is very difficult for them with the AFC North and NFC South's not an issue, but some of their cross-division games. With the AFC East, they got to play the Dolphins. They get the NFC West, which is for them the Rams, and the AFC South, which means they get the Jags, who finished second. So not a great schedule. But 2-7 into the bye for me. They lose another one, 2-8 at the Dolphins, at home against the Broncos. I don't know. We'll see how they can do on that one. That's going to be a tough one, but I'll give them a win on that one. 3-8 at the Chiefs. I had the Raiders winning at home against the Chiefs early. So actually, they are 4-7. 4-7. I'll go back to 3-8 actually because I think the Broncos can win that one week 12 in Vegas. So 3-8. Anyways, at the Chiefs on Black Friday, that is a loss. 3-9 at the Bucks. It's a very difficult game. 3-10. They're at home against the Falcons on Monday Night Football. 4-10. I know it's Kirk Cousins, but it's going to be a tough one. At home against the Jags, 4-11 there. At the Saints, I think they squeak one in with a win there, so 5-11. And then at home against the Chargers, I think they win that one. So I am also at 6-11. There's some good opportunities down the stretch, but it is a difficult schedule to start. Chargers, Ravens, Browns, Steelers, Rams, Chiefs, Bengals. That week 6 to week 9 stretch is very tough. And then weeks come out of the bye and you got to go to Miami, man. So that's very difficult stretch there. And I think I had them splitting with all three. So 3-3 in the division for me with the Raiders. They might want to lose some more if they want to get that elite quarterback next year. We'll see. We'll see, though. All right. Let's head to the third place team from last year, the Denver Broncos. They didn't lose a lot. Quarterback Russell Wilson signed with the Steelers. They traded wide receiver Jerry Jeudy to the Browns. Center Lloyd Cushenberry went to the Titans, and linebacker Josie Jewell went to the Panthers. But they did add quite a bit in year 2 under Coach Sean Payton. They traded for quarterback Zach Wilson from the Jets. They drafted quarterback Bo Nix, first round, 12th overall. Signed wide receiver Josh Reynolds from the Lions. Drafted wide receiver Troy Franklin in the 4th round, 102 overall. Signed defensive tackle Angelo Blackson from the Jags. Traded for edge rusher John Franklin Myers from the Jets. Drafted edge rusher Jonah Ellis, 3rd round, 76th. Signed linebacker Cody Barton from the Commanders. Signed corner Levi Wallace from the Steelers. Drafted corner Chris Abrams-Drain, 5th round, 145th. And signed safety Brandon Jones from the Dolphins. So I'm really excited about this Broncos team. Bo knows. Love Bo Nix. They have a decent schedule with who they got in the 3rd place team crossovers there with Seattle. So they get Seattle, Indy, and the Jets. Not the easiest opponents, but a little bit easier than what the Raiders had to do. So let's see what we got here. Jimmy has the Broncos going 8-9. I feel like that's kind of a good record for me as well in Bo Nix's rookie year. So at Seattle, I think they come out and they lose. It's a tough stretch to open the year. 3 out of the first 4 on the road. But I think I am going to start them off at 0-5. At Seattle's a tough road game. At home against the Steelers, I still like that defense in Pittsburgh. At the Bucks, I think Baker can win that game. It's going to be a low-scoring one, I think. At the Jets, I just think Aaron Rodgers is going to be too much for this Broncos defense. And then I had the Raiders winning that Week 5 one in Denver early on in the season. So 0-5 to start. So it's not great, but it does get much, much easier from there on out. They're going to win in Denver against the Chargers Week 6. That is their first win. At the Saints, Thursday Night Football. Short week, but I think they can win that one. I think Coach Payton wants to beat his old team, so they go to 2-5 there. They win a tight one against the Panthers because it's in Denver, so 3-5. They lose in Baltimore, 3-6. Lose in Kansas City, 3-7. At home against the Falcons, I do think they lose that one as well, 3-8. They win at Vegas in Week 12, 4-8. They lose at home against the Browns on Monday night in Week 13, 4-9. Week 14 by very late for this team here. They do beat the Colts, though, coming out Week 15, so 5-9. At the Chargers, Week 16, I think Harbaugh's going to have his boys ready then. So they lose the last 3, actually. So 5-12 for me. It's another tough year in Denver, but this team's going through a transition. I do still think they have a good team, especially defensively, but we'll see how Bo Nix can do. I'm not really hyped about the weapons that he has. The tight end position leaves a lot. Greg Dulcich, I don't know why they have him 3rd string behind Lucas Krull and Adam Troutman, but they do have some pieces. So I think I'm very low on 5-12. I could see this team winning the 8 games that Jimmy has them winning. Would not be shocked at all. But 5-12 is just what I kind of came up with in my record chart there. And so for division purposes, I had them going 2-4, getting swept by the Chiefs and splitting with the Raiders and the Chargers. On to the LA Chargers. First year under new head coach Jim Harbaugh. Losses-wise, this was a roster that made a bunch of turnover at the same position. So running back Austin Eckler, he went to the Commanders. Wide receiver Mike Williams to the Jets. Wide receiver Jalen Guyton to the Raiders. They traded wide receiver Keenan Allen to the Bears. Tight end Gerald Everett went to the Bears as well. Defensive tackle Austin Johnson to the Bills. Linebacker Kenneth Murray to the Titans. Linebacker Eric Kendricks to the Cowboys. And corner Michael Davis to the Commanders. Yeah, I mean the wide receiver exodus was crazy. That they didn't keep either Williams or Allen. I know Keenan was on the older side on 30. Mike Williams just under that as well, coming off the ACL tear. But I thought they would have kept one of the two, especially because of the connection that Herbert had with Allen. And they only got a 4th-round pick. I thought that was not very great. So I don't think they're going to miss the linebackers. Don't think they're going to miss Gerald Everett. And Austin Eckler was super slow last year. And Michael Davis was liability in coverage. So other than the receivers, I don't think it's a ton of value lost. They added a lot of value, though. They signed running back Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins from the Ravens. Wide receiver DJ Chark they got from the Panthers. They drafted wide receivers Ladd McConkey and Brendan Rice in the 2nd round, 34th, and the 7th round, 225th. Signed tight end Will Dissly from the Seahawks. Tight end Hayden Hurst from the Panthers. They drafted offensive tackle Joe Alt, 1st round, 5th overall. Drafted defensive tackle Justin Mboigbe, 4th round, 105th. Edge rusher Bud Dupree they got from the Falcons. They signed linebacker Denzel Perriman from the Texans. Linebacker Junior Colson they drafted in the 3rd round, 69th. And they signed corner Christian Fulton from the Titans. So I really liked what the Chargers did this offseason. New GM Joe Ortiz and head coach Jim Harbaugh, like I said. The running backs will be interesting to see if they work out. They also drafted Kamani Vidal in the 6th round from Troy. The wide receiver position's a lot of unproven guys. Quentin Johnston has to take the next step as a 2nd-year 1st-round player. The offensive line, I think, will be really solid for Justin Herbert. They signed Bradley Bozeman from the Panthers as well to play center. And, of course, they have Justin Herbert. So I do think this team's going to be improved from last year. The defense, it's still out. Jerry's still out to see if they are going to play well or not with some of the additions they had. But I think it's going to be pretty solid. So Jimmy has them going 8-9, just like the Broncos. Let's see. I have them winning at home. Or, no, I had the Raiders winning that one, I think. No. Yeah. I had them winning that first game against the Raiders at home. They win in Carolina to go to 2-0. At the Steelers, they lose, though. They lose at home against the Chiefs. So 1-3 start, not great. Early bye for the Chargers. Kind of get reset. They go to Denver. They win that one. So 2-4. They win in Arizona on Monday night. It's going to be a tough game. I could see them losing that one. But 3-4 for me. They beat the Saints in LA. So they get to 3-4 at Cleveland. They lose that one. 3-5 for me. They beat the Titans to get to 4-5. At home against the Bengals, I think they lose that one. 4-6. They lose at home against the Ravens on Monday night. 4-7. They do go to Atlanta, though, and win to get to 5-7. They lose in Kansas City on Sunday night to get to 5-8. I think they sneak a win against Tampa, 6-8 there. They lose at home against the Broncos, 6-9. They win in Foxborough to go to 7-9, and they win they lose at the Raiders to go to 7-10. Yeah, I think I had that right. Right, 7-10. Win, loss. Loss. 2-2. Oh, okay. I had them going 1-3 in the beginning. That's why. 2-2 going into the bye, and then they win 3-2, 4-2, 5-2. 5-3, 6-3, 6-4, 6-5, 7-5, 7-6, 8-6, 8-7, 9-7. No, I'm gonna go. I'm actually gonna switch it up. I'm gonna go 9-8. 9-8 for the Chargers. Actually, just I screwed my numbers up there. So 9-8 for the Vegas or the LA Chargers here. I think they're going to be much improved. Jim Harbaugh knows how to coach football, and he's been to the Super Bowl before in the NFL when he was with the 49ers. I'm intrigued to see my boy Ladd McConkey play, see how he steps up. Joe Alt should be a beast at right tackle, and they're going to lean on some of these rookies to play a bunch of minutes this year. So I think it's going to be a cool young team, but I think they can possibly sneak into the playoffs. That's what 9-8 means, is that you're a fringe wild card type team. So I think just with Jim Harbaugh alone, they instantly improved. And I still am a big Justin Herbert believer, so I like them 9-8. And I had them splitting with Denver and Vegas, getting swept by the Chiefs. So 2-4 in division. Not going to matter. However, in terms of divisional seeding. So to recap, Jimmy and I both have the AFC West champion being the Kansas City Chiefs, of course. They're by far the best team in the division. I had them at 13-4, 5-1 in the division. Jimmy at 12-5. Our second place team differs a little bit. So I had the Los Angeles Chargers at 9-8, 2-4 in year one under Coach Harbaugh. I think actually I'll put Jimmy at 8-9 as well with the Chargers in second place. That's fine because he has both the Broncos and the Chargers at 8-9. But he had actually, I think, put the Broncos in second. Or no, he did put the Chargers in second. So yeah, both same second place team as well. Third place is different though. Jimmy has the Broncos going 8-9 like they did last year. I have the Raiders in third at 6-11 though, 3-3 in division. They're the only team that beats the Chiefs, and that's in Vegas. And then fourth place for Jimmy is the Raiders at 6-11. I have the Broncos in fourth at 5-12, 2-4 in the division. That is the show for today. Next week, we'll be talking at training camp week 4. We're doing the NFC East on Friday show. Next Monday, though, we'll be back talking Jimmy's Vikings and the rest of the NFC North. I'm sure we'll get some hype from our fellow Packers friends out there in Wisconsin. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media at FAA Podcast on Instagram and X. FAApodcast.com is our website. You can check us out here on YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, etc. Thank you all for watching. We will see y'all back on Football Friday.